Good. Oh, hopefully y'all can hear me. Good evening, podcast listeners. It is I, Rock, and as always, followed with MDA.
What is up, everyone? So it's been a few weeks since our last pod, but we figured enough stuff has happened here that we wanted to go over some stuff. I think the big things we wanted to go over is the Afra characters. I think we got Hondo, but we did not get the droids. We're going to get the new Conquest character, and then we're going to cover the road ahead. So definitely plenty of stuff. And then, as always, we have the podcast topics. So if you have a question, go ahead and drop it in the podcast topics, and we'll hit it towards the end of the pod. But yeah, I say we go ahead and get started. All right. Not sure what's going on with Rock here, but we'll go ahead and jump in with the droids here. I will go ahead and start with BT1. So for those of you who do not know, the Dr. Afra event is coming pretty soon. I would say in December. Her event will be up and running, and it'll be just like Star Killers, where it is a permanent event. So once it is in, it is here for good. And we now know all 4 characters needed for the events, but of the 2 that we got in the next 2 that we got in the game are BT1 and 000. So starting with BT1, he is a blasphemic prototype droid who is known for destroying the Tarkin Initiative base in which he was created. And basically, he's a chopper-looking dude, astromech, and let me tell you, dude does crazy amounts of damage. So we'll go ahead. I'll start reading the kit here. He is a dark side attacker, droid, and scoundrel. On the basic, deal physical damage to target enemy 3 times and inflict a stack of damage over time for 2 turns. Special number 1, deal physical damage to all enemies and inflict a stack of damage over time for 2 turns and expose for 1 turn. And if the target enemy is inflicted with target lock, inflict burning and another stack of damage over time for 2 turns. And on his unique, which does have an Omicron, and in fact it is a Zeta and an Omicron, at the start of the battle, BT1 gains 10% critical damage for each droid ally, 10% potency for each dark side ally, and 5 speed for each scoundrel ally. If 000 is an active ally, gain the granted ability, Kill Them All, and whenever 000 uses a special ability, BT1 assists, dealing 40% less damage. Let's see here. The granted ability Kill Them All is you deal physical damage to all enemies and you call 000 to assist. And while in 3v3 Grand Arenas, whenever BT1 or 000 defeat an enemy, their cooldowns are refreshed and they gain 30% turn meter. His second unique here, at the start of the battle, BT1 gains 100% offense, and whenever BT1 defeats an enemy, he gains the granted ability Haywire and takes a bonus turn. And during this bonus turn, BT1 removes ability block from himself and may only use Haywire. So Haywire, you deal physical damage to all other characters, and that includes your allies, but your allies will take reduced damage by 75%. This ability cannot be evaded, and this damage cannot defeat allies or enemies. So, Rock, what is your opinions here on the first of the murder bots for Dr. Afra?
I like it. I don't know much about him, like, lore-wise, so I don't know if this is, like, on par with what they're usually up to, but I like it. So far, it seems like it's, at the very least, even if it doesn't pair with Alpha, it will, pair pretty good with Shorty. So, that's my take.
Yeah, that's the vibe that I got from BT and Trip. We'll go over Trip in a second, but pretty much, and at least from what they said in the road ahead too, is that Afra and the 2 droids are going to be kind of the core of your team. Kind of a lot how like Bando and IG-11 and Queel are all together. I think that like this is he's going to be the damage dealer of the group, but also like you said, fits really well in a sortie team. So they're just solid characters. I mean, not going to argue with another scoundrel, another droid. So we'll take it. Next is 000. A protocol droid specialized in etiquette, customs, translation, and torture. It is 000 is a dark side droid, scoundrel, and support. And on the basic, deal special damage to target enemy and inflict shock for 1 turn. If the target enemy is non-droid and was already inflicted with shock, stun them for 1 turn instead. And if this ability defeats an enemy, gain a stack of translation for 3 turns. The second ability, which is the special here, it does have an Omicron. Deal special damage and inflict torture on target enemy for 1 turn, which can't be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted. This is the same debuff that the Grand Inquisitor puts out. If the target enemy already had torture, instead deal special damage to all enemies and grant all Darkside allies a stack of translation, max of 3 for 3 turns. And torture, what it does is you deal 10% max health damage whenever you damage that enemy, and then they lose defense stacking, I believe up to 50% defense. And for the Omicron, while in 3v3 Grand Arenas, torture will last for 2 turns instead of 1. And if BT1 is an active ally, BT1 and 000 recover 20% health and protection. And if this ability defeats an enemy, all Darkside allies gain 10% offense stacking for the rest of the encounter, doubled for Darkside droids. On the unique, it is Darkside allies gain 20% critical damage. Whenever a Darkside ally uses an ability on an enemy with torture, grant that ally 1 stack of translation for 3 turns. And Darkside allies gain 5% potency for each stack of translation on them, doubled for droids. And then translation, it's the same as C-3POs and the same as Tex. And then the second unique, which is a Zeta. Whenever 000 BT1 gain a stack of translation, they grant a stack of translation to the other, limit once per turn. And at the start of 000's turn, inflict target lock for 1 turn on a random non-droid enemy that doesn't already have it. Whenever a non-droid enemy is defeated, the attacking ally recovers 30% health and protection, and if the attacking ally is a Darkside droid, they also gain offense up for 2 turns and 15% turn meter. If the attacking ally is BT1, he gains offense up for 2 turns and 30% turn meter instead. So a lot of synergy here baked in between the two of them. I think it's another one of those characters like Mission and Zalbar, IG-11 and Queel. You're gonna want to run them together. But what are your thoughts here on Trip in addition to BT1?
Same thing as BT1. I mean, it's pretty much going to be Alpha's, sidekick. But I mean, for now, you can probably run it with Shorty, which I think a couple people have been doing. So
yeah,
that's pretty much all I have.
They look like a fun team. I think we're going to see a lot more of them with Afra, and they're going to have more of a defined role. But I think, when you have the Scoundrel tag, you can really be plug and play a lot, and especially with Sortie too, they fit in really well with that team. So we'll take that. And then the other day, and I believe in that same update, Luminara got an Omicron. And for those of you who have not read it yet, it is a Grand Arena Omicron, and it is on her special, specifically her healing ability. So her regular healing ability was each ally recovers health equal to 45% of Luminara Unduli's max health and gains a stack of heal over time for 2 turns that recovers health equal to 20% of Luminara's max health. Now, with the Omicron in Grand Arenas, you dispel all debuffs and all allies. Allies gain tenacity up for 2 turns, and Luminara Unduli gains 50 speed for 2 turns. Stacks of heal over time gained from this ability trigger when any heal over time from this ability triggers, limit once per turn. And whenever they trigger, they also recover 20% protection. While allies have a stack of heal over time from this ability, they have plus 100% critical avoidance and are immune to turn meter reduction. Whenever a stack of heal over time from this ability is dispelled, reduce the cooldown of this ability by 1. Other allies with protection up can't gain these bonuses, and these stacks of heal over time expire on other allies who gain protection up. So, Rock, what are your thoughts on this Omicron, and is this one that you would consider putting on?
Um, I don't know. It seems like this is pretty much to pair with the Qui-Gon Jinn Omnicron because there's a lot of like the whole protection up and you don't gain, heal over time. Pretty much kind of negates run it with Padme at all. Uh, but I like it. I don't know. I kind of wish it would have, I also wish Luminara had a unique to begin with, but having it on, the special itself is pretty cool. But uh, the gain 50 speed, is that just like a flat gain 50 speed and she keeps it? Or is that just.
I am checking in the mechanics right now. And I believe it's just she gains it for 2 turns. So like whenever she does it, she'll just gain 50 speed. And I don't. Cool. Yeah, so it's additive. So it's if you just keep doing it, I mean, I think after a while, just do the 2 turns, you'll only be able to get like at most 100. But like again, it's still something. You're making these characters go faster. So adding speed is never a bad thing.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it's a pretty good. I mean, I haven't seen any like gameplay on it or anything like that because this one's been out for a good bit. But like, I mean, just thinking it from like the standpoint of you have Qui-Gon Jinn, you have Cam, and Jedi Knight Anakin. I mean, what's one more, Jedi to like Relic 3 or Relic 5, and then throw the Omnicron, whatever,
I'm actually a really big fan of this Omicron, and I'm actually going to be in the future when we talk about what we're farming and all that. I'm going to be going for Rey later in the pipeline. I think, especially Rey with Ben Solo and Luminara, this in a 5v5 team could get nasty. I think, like you said too, I think putting it with a Qui-Gon team makes a lot of sense. I could also see in like 3v3 pairing this up with Starkiller. I think this could also like really make this team difficult to just with the dispel, and I notice it's because it's just on all allies. There's no Jedi synergy, Galactic Republic synergy. It's just where plug and play. So I think most like where you're most likely going to see this and where it's going to be best is with Qui-Gon, and I think with Rey, which is what I'm looking forward to running once I get those teams up and running and when I get her up and running. But yeah, all in all, I think it's a good Omicron. Like you said, I wish like maybe it like synergized with her lead or they gave her unique or something, but this is still good. I think this makes her a usable character in GAC, which is always a good thing.
I just wish that they would have done a same like type of Omnicron, like a GAC Omnicron for Galactic Republic Jedi, but just give it to Ayla. Like I would have loved that for Ayla.
Yeah, no, I would have been here for that.
Is what it is.
I think we have the new Conquest unit, the Scythe, up next. I know it was speculated a lot, and I don't know if it was one of the more popular decision or ones that I don't really know if many of the community members are really looking forward to it, since it is based off the Grand Inquisitor, which not many people have. But the newest Conquest unit is a ship. It is a support shuttle that boosts Empire ships by providing potent buffs and summoning TIE fighters. And again, Darkside Empire supports Inquisitorius, Unaligned Force User. Got all those tags there. And I'm going to go through the kit in just a second, but this looks like it is mainly going to be working with the Executrix, like how the Interceptor was kind of mainly working with Thrawn. It wasn't saying it outright, whereas this one says it outright. So the 2 pilots for this are going to be Fifth Brother and the Grand Inquisitor. So, on the basic here, deal physical damage to targets and gain 20% turn meter and inflict defense down for 2 turns. If the target is a Jedi, this attack can't be evaded. And when scoring a critical hit, grants a random Imperial TIE Fighter foresight for 2 turns that does not have it. The special number 1, which is the Grand Inquisitor ability, dispel all buffs on all enemies and recover 30% health and protection. Ally Empire ships gain 1 stack of formation, max of 30, for each buff dispelled for 2 turns, which can't be copied. And formation is a new buff, which is 10% max health, offense, and potency. And whenever this ship uses an ability, gain 1% turn meter per stack of formation. The second special is the Fifth Brothers ability, and target ally recovers 50% health and gains 50% protection up for 2 turns. And then the Scythe uses the basic ability against target enemy. This attack has 75% critical chance this turn if the target is debuffed. And if this stack scores a critical hit, inflict fear on target enemy for 1 turn, which can't be... I got a typo here, which can't be copied or dispelled and can't be evaded by Jedi enemies. If this attack defeats the target enemy and the allied capital ship is Executrix, target ally gains foresight for 2 turns and inflict all enemies with fear for 1 turn, which can't be copied, dispelled, or evaded. However, looks like it can be resisted. I'm not sure if that's a typo or not, but I would imagine that it can't be resisted. But here we go. Unique number 1. Allied Empire ships gain 20% max health and offense and 10 speed. If the enemy capital ship is a Jedi, Allied Empire ships gain an additional 70% max health. At the start of the battle, all Empire allies gain a stack of formation. Imperial TIE Fighter allies instead gain stacks of formation equal to the number of ally Imperial TIE Fighters. These stacks can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented and are removed at the end of the battle or when the Scythe is defeated. If the ally capital ship is Executrix, at the start of the battle, summon 2 crewless Imperial TIE Fighters, and while an ally Imperial TIE Fighter has foresights, they are also marked. The first time an allied Imperial TIE Fighter defeats a ship, all allies gain 100% turn meter. And the reinforcement ability here is inflict speed down, which can't be evaded or resisted, on Jedi enemies for 2 turns. If the allied capital ship is Executrix, inflict fear on all enemies for 1 turn, which can't be copied, dispelled, or evaded, and summon 2 crewless Imperial TIE Fighters. So, what is your thoughts here on the Grand Inquisitor ship?
This is my first time reading it, even though it's been out for like a couple weeks. And I don't know, I'm a big fan. It almost seems like, with essentially the way Grand Arena ships are, especially in Kyber, you need every fleet you can get. And the fact that the Scythe is pretty much just going to carry the Executor with, I mean, the Imperial TIE Fighter is a pretty decent ship. The TIE Reaper is pretty decent too itself, but like they're not like the meta with the Thrawn ship. So it's like, it's almost like they just kind of made a ship to just this is like the Mon Mothma of ships. If that's like the way I think of it. It's like meant to take a bunch of just like characters that like don't really fit the bill and just throw them in to make a team. And I'm all for it. But my one thing is, so it almost seems like you're going to start with a full-fledged 5 ships at the beginning if you put them in the starting lineup, it seems, which is pretty cool. We haven't had something like that where you start with like an obvious advantage. So
I'm not gonna lie, I am very excited for this ship. I just did all my calculations before the pod. I will have all my Inquisitors ready for the Grand Inquisitors events, and Grand Inquisitor will be unlocked when it comes around. So I will have this ship able and ready to go once Conquest is over. And I'm really excited for this ship. It really does a lot, especially with the Executrix. It really adds a lot of viability. I think this is going to do, at a bare minimum, what the Interceptor did for the Chimera, where like I think you could say the Chimera is at a bare minimum like the fourth best fleet, if not the third best fleet with the Interceptor, because it's definitely I think better than it's or at least on the same tier as the Negotiator and the Malevolence. And I think with this especially, this looks like it's hard countering the Negotiator. And I mean, Executrix has already been seeing to soft countering the Profundity. I mean, I think it's not outside of the realm of possibility here that this can't counter the Profundity, especially if you've got the correct relic levels or the correct team around it. Because I mean, there's some RNG with it, but the Executrix is already doing it. So I think if you can get the right team with this, and especially with all the TIE fighters evading, I know that you won't be able to gain turn meter, but the offense that you're going to gain is really crazy. And there's a lot of anti-rebel stuff within all the Empire ships kits. So I'm curious to see what this does, but especially from we're about to get to in the road ahead, the Scythe is going to be very important for territory battles. So this is not going to be a ship that you're going to want to miss out on. The same thing with the Inquisitors. But I like it. I think it's going to be, I expect a similar impact as the Razor Crest, as the TIE Interceptor. I understand kind of like the complaints with, you know, you need the Grand Inquisitor. This is kind of basically forcing you, you know, for another reason to go get Inquisitors. But it looks good. I think it's going to help a lot, and I'm kind of liking that they're circling back to these older fleets, like with Chimera, they're doing this with Executrix, and whether Red 5 actually comes or not, I think Ravensclaw was their first attempt at making the Home 1 a little better. I'm liking that they're circling back and making these fleets a little bit better and usable.
I agree. Uh, Especially with like, I mean, shoot, how many capital ships are in the game now? 10 or I think it's 10, right?
We've got
With
two
hang on.
Rebel, two Galactic or two Rebel, two Galactic Republic, two Empire, so that's 6, and then First Order Resistance, that's 8, Separatist, and then a Bounty Hunter. I think that's 10.
Yeah, we are exactly 10
Uh,
fleets.
I think we're getting close to where they might up the for ships for Kyber. I think they might be bumping this up to 4 pretty soon, especially if we get another capital ship. It looks like they're doing about 1 a year if they keep the same cadence that we've done with the Executor and the Profundity. Or if they go and release new ships so that you can have full fleets for the Executrix, for Mesa's ship, we might be seeing 4 fleets on defense.
I would hate that because I remember before there was that period of time when they bumped up the fleet requirements, but First Order was still pretty. The First Order didn't have the 2 new ships. Or First Order and uh, Radis didn't have the new ships, but then it was Executor was around, and it was. I remember just listening to people that were like at higher level of Kyber. They were like, "Yeah, if you like missed one ship, then you just didn't clear." And so now they've gotten to the point to where like you can. I mean, with 10 ships, you basically need 6, but back in those days, you didn't really have 6 good ships that could take out everything. You either did the strategy of I'm just gonna put my worst fleets on, defense, or I'm gonna put my best fleets on defense, and you either clear or you don't clear. And so now it's kind of nice that there's actually a little bit of like tic tac toe going on, not tic tac toe, but like rock paper scissors going on of well, this fleet can counter this one, but this one can't counter this one, all that kind of fun jazz going on. I would just hate that they would add 4 and we're back to the same drawing board of now I need 8 ships, but there's only 10 capital ships in the game. Or there's only, and one really doesn't work. Let's be honest. Mesa's just like, Mesa doesn't really have anything to go with it. He's just like a filler. Radis isn't too great. So you're really stuck with, 9 fleets that you can make. So that's just kind of my fear is with them bumping it up.
Before I'm going to touch on this later in the pod, but I think this ship is going to be one. I don't think you're going to want to miss out on it, just given its importance in territory battles. But I'm going to touch on this later, but I think it's important to clear up the Inquisitors aren't bad. In fact, I think they're actually I think they're about to start making a move into being meta, especially with Riva coming out. But even without Riva, I've been gearing and relicking them up and been doing a bit more research with this team in preparation for unlocking him. This team's really good, especially with the Grand Inquisitor. I think the people that were testing this out didn't quite test this out to the best of the, like, I think they had the wrong idea with certain things. As far as my understanding, I consider this team at a, in the terms of like the hierarchy, like I would put them at a Darth Revan Malak level with the Inquisitors. So like the Inquisitors, I would put them at a Sith Empire level. No Malgus, just like the OG Darth Revan team with HK and Marauder and Malak and all that. They do a lot, especially with their assault battle. They've got they now have 2 ships. They're going to be huge in territory battles. I understand that they're expensive, but this is they're worth, as of right in my eyes, they're worth the investment. I'm going to touch on it more later when we talk about what we're farming and all that, but go farm your Inquisitors, guys. So let's jump over to the road ahead, because they popped this last week and they had a bunch of good stuff. Let's gotta find it here. All right, so we got the road ahead here. They're going to be sending us a bunch of free stuff, a lot of good stuff, Zetas, relic materials, gear, bunch of stuff like that. We got the news about the new territory battle, the Rise of the Empire, which is going to be set between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. It is going to be the first territory battle with no alignment restrictions. There's going to be 3 zones, a light side, a mixed, and a dark side. And we are going to be able to run this twice a month. And basically, we can use our whole rosters with this. And the difficulty that they set, it should be around the same difficulty as light side Geo. And they said if you are earning 20 stars in light side Geo and getting close to max stars in dark side Geo, this is primed for you, which for us here in Barbarism, that is about 300 mil for a total guild GP.
I think Age is getting close. I think Age is at 19 stars, or they're at 20 now in light side. I think they're at 19.
Age might struggle the first month or two just because of the GP, but I think that's right about like high 200s or 300 is where you want to be.
Yeah, but they didn't say here if they were doing like a GP gate, like for dark side and light side Geo, you need to be like a certain GP. But like here, they didn't say anything about you need to be 250 to attempt. They just said, oh, if this is what you're getting rewards wise, you're gonna do okay. You're not gonna really struggle. So I hope they don't do like a GP gate. I would hate for them to do a GP gate.
Yeah, I mean, the more that I've seen some of these things, I've hated doing GP gates. Like, if someone wants to go and get their ass kicked, like, let them go and get their ass kicked. Like, let them be able to test and see what the difficulty is like. There's nothing more annoying than being like a million or 2 short, and you can't do it for that reason. Or if you're gonna do it, like make it for like light side Geo, where like you only need like 100 million in your guild GP, something like that.
Yeah, I think light side's 100 million, and then dark side's just 80 million.
Yeah. So I would say that I'd say so for those listening here or in our kind of band of guilds here. I think Age and Returns will for sure be doing it, and I'm not sure about Begins or Eternal. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
what you guys are going to decide to do, but definitely there will be enough perspectives from guild members here doing it. They did tell us the new groups of heroes. We have a lot of new territory battle heroes. For the light side, it is going to be Jin, K2, Old Ben, and our boy Bodhi. Bodhi is going to be a TV hero. They're going to get a special buff here. This character gains 50% potency and deals additional damage equal to 35% of their potency. Whenever a buff expires, all allies gain 2% offense stacking to a maximum of 100% for the rest of the battle. Thoughts on the light side characters?
I was expecting a couple more, like when we get into. Actually, no, they're all about even the same amount. But like, if you look at like light side Geo, the amount of heroes on light side Geo is like 15 or 20, just like rough estimate of like what I'm remembering. And then like dark side, there's like um 5 or
I don't think
6.
there's. I think it's like Dooku, Grievous, Newt, um,
Toggle,
Poggle, and
Watt.
and Watt. Yeah, which honestly,
It's just
Watt doesn't even really count because
yeah, no.
um,
But
I think pretty
I
much
guess yeah.
it's
If you really think, you're getting each little section gets 5. It looks like yeah, each section's getting 5 characters, so you're getting 15 total at the end of the day. But I don't know. I just kind of expected with like how big they have hyped up how like big the territory wars battle is going to be, that I was looking for at least like 7 or 8 for each section. But five's not bad. I mean, I'm not too
well,
worried
and
about it.
especially
But
I think there's only going to be a few battles in each one. I think it was like 2 battles in each planet or like in each side. So I mean, when you think about it, like
yeah,
you don't need that many characters overall. I will say when looking at this, I'm thinking the Cassian Omicron's looking pretty good with this, especially like you've got Jin, K2, Bodhi if you decide to farm them up, but like Cassian might be making a nice team with that. I think Jin especially, you're gaining potency and then you're dealing extra damage equal to the potency, and Jin stacks potency whenever she crits. So Jin could actually be putting out some huge damage in TB. So it's going to be fun for that. The mixed heroes here are Jabba the Hutt, Hondo Onaka, Dr. Aphra, Kira, and Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum. And the bonus that they're going to get is whenever this character calls other allies to assist, they gain 20% turn meter, and the assisting allies deal 20% more damage. Whenever this character attacks out of turn, they attack again. Thoughts on the mixed characters here?
that's pretty much who I expected. I'm surprised they went with Fulcrum. Like it makes sense, but the I don't really see how she's gonna get bonuses from the back alley deals. Their little like buff or whatever.
She's got
She doesn't.
she has retribution.
Oh yeah, true. That makes sense. Yeah. So she can. Okay. Yeah. Forget it that she has that. So yeah, that makes sense.
I'm kind of with you there. They've got
Yeah. It just seems like they were like, oh, we're just gonna throw her in just to she's got the Omnicron in Territory War, and they were like, oh, maybe people have her geared up. We'll make her useful in the TB. Is what it is. But the back alley deal seems like it's built for Java. It seems like this is like an extra lead for Java.
yeah, pretty much. It's kind of what I expected. Jabba, Hondo, Aphra are the new it characters. They're
Yeah.
they're the new characters, and I mean lore wise it makes sense too. I mean these are, and even with Fulcrum too, like Jabba, Hondo, Aphra, Kira. I mean Kira especially. These are all big characters lore wise, so it all makes sense. I'm not upset with any of these. Dark side, it is Grand Inquisitor, Second Sister, Third Sister, Lord Vader, Director Krennic, and Gar Saxon. The buff that they will get here, whenever this character uses an ability on their turn, they recover 5% health and protection and deal bonus damage equal to 2% of this character's max health to all enemies. What are your thoughts here on all of these characters here?
So Darkseid gets 6, but everyone else gets 5. The other two get 5.
Hey man, it's the might of the Empire. You know, it's
Yeah. They're the stars of this one. I see how it is. Throwing in Krennic. Krennic is nice because I mean a lot of people who have C are already gonna have him geared up. So that's gonna be nice that you can just I mean you can, and especially in a TB, there's always times where you have to platoon a character or another character goes with another squad, and so like in Lightside Geo, I find myself using like I've had times where like I've had to throw like Qui-Gon Jinn in with like Jedi Master Luke or like Jedi Master Kenobi, and it's like it's always nice like knowing that like I have Krennic at Relic 4, and if I need to throw him with an Empire squad, that he's actually gonna help a little bit more than just his base kit. Gar Saxon, I wonder if they're going to give him a special mission or something because that one just seemed like out of the blue of like why they would give it to him. But it does make sense. This is this like transitionary period of the Empire, and he's mentioned a lot in Rebels, so it's not all too bad. Um, it's kind of cool seeing Lord Vader on there. I just wish it was the regular Vader though, but I'm not too mad.
I'm not gonna
Uh,
lie. All of these, I mean, lore wise, they make sense. I'm actually
yeah,
really excited most for Krennic and Gar Saxon.
same.
I've been looking for a reason to gear Gar just because I mean his ship is fantastic, but I actually think his lead is going to be really good here. Um,
It's his leading.
so I got it pulled up here. Empire allies gain 50% counter chance and 40% defense. Whenever an Empire ally uses a basic, they recover 5% health. And then on his unique, whenever an ally attacks during a turn, Gar Saxon has a 100% chance to assist. I think with this, you're going to be getting a lot of health and protection recovery. And I think you can
Even
actually,
on top of the Might of the Empire stuff.
yeah, and on top of the Might of the Empire stuff, I think he's actually going to be decent here. Like you throw like his lead, whether you use him with Lord Vader or whether or not like you use him in his own lead. I think he's going to be, I think he's going to be worth gearing up, and I think the same thing too with Krennic lead. Krennic lead here. Empire allies gain 25% crit chance and potency. Debuffed enemies who are critically hit during Empire's allies' turn suffer ability block for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. And Empire allies recover 10% protection whenever they score critical hits. I'm not going to lie, that's not bad for a TB lead with only 2 phases. I think especially like if you have C or, if you farmed the Empire decently well, Krennic and Gar, I think, are actually going to be used decently well. Inquisitors are great. We know that, and Lord Vader's great. But yeah, I think these are all pretty solid. I think curious to see how Bodhi's going to work, but I can see the pathway for Krennic and Gar Saxon to work, especially with this Might of the Empire thing here.
Yeah, I agree. I like the ability too. The ability is pretty nice. I like how each one is like very different, and it's almost like they have like an extra leader ability or like an extra unique. It's not really like the other ones where you just get like in Light Side you just get the ability like attack twice on the stacks and stuff like that. So it's I like it.
So they did say here to you're really going to want to pay attention to which characters you're using where. There's going to be platoons and mission requirements. I would guarantee that Galactic Legends are going to be part of platoons. I would almost guarantee it. And this is where I think Territory Battle Omicrons are going to become really important. I think the Karth one, especially in the mix zone, is going to be very good. I think Probe Droid, Finn, Rolo, Kyle Katarn, Omega, Gamorrean Guard, all those territory battle Omicrons are going to see, they're going to have their time to shine here. But they did say they highly recommend you get your Jabba, Inquisitors, Scythe, and Dr. Aphra geared up and ready to go. It sounds like they're either probably going to have their own special mission, or a lot of the missions are going to be, not hard requiring them, but like if you have them, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Um, Two other things to mention that I thought was pretty interesting. They're going back to like the Hoth style, where it's one day per phase. So, but like they have the platoon bonuses, but they don't have like what do you need the platoon, and then shortening the battle to just two encounters, so it's just going to be two waves, is pretty nice. Just because if it's going to be two battles per zone. So you go like two on the dark, two on the neutral, two on the light. So it's like six battles, but it's only 12 waves. Where now it's usually like four battles, four. So it's like 16 waves. So you just like, you have 12 less hours to, complete a phase, but everyone has like less work to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that's going to go. I think I like the 12. I think I like the 24-hour phases better, just because it's more kind of consistent with like this is what you
Yeah.
expect. But you know what? We'll see how it goes. They did say that I'm going to read off the planets here in a second, but they will have each planet will have its own modifier, a lot like how Conquest and Galactic Challenges do, which I think we're all pretty familiar with at this point. But I think I'm looking forward more to this TB than I am for Lightside. I think they have a better idea for designing content for this TB now than they were for Lightside Geo. I mean, I think it's sad that we still can't max Lightside Geo yet. It is mathematically impossible to max
They
Lightside
really
Geo.
they really fumbled the bag on that one. They either should have made it, less GP to get it done, or they should have, instead of giving us one special mission, one combat mission, they should have given us two combat missions. Because at least now you can use Negotiator in one and then Profundity in the other. Or you can do Rebels and Negotiator, and you double your combat mission output. That's really what they should have done, but
I think once this
these
launches, I think that I think they should go and add, like you said, another combat mission, just so people can finish Lightside Geo and max it. Because I mean, it's still, unless they release another, like a lot of ships, like there's still a lot of ship GP that's just like
I
mathematically not in the game yet. And I mean, it would be years at the pace that they're
yeah.
going, years before we can max it. Which I mean, they created a whole new territory battle before that. I think that they should just go add another combat mission akin to how the previous ones were, and then just call it a day.
Yeah. I think with that it's kind of interesting. I think someone did the math on it, and so you need your guild to have an average ship GP of like 6.6 million. But this was on the H&N pod, and I think it was Pico Burrito was talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, he's like, I have the majority of the pilots at Relic 8, Relic 9, and he's like, I top out at about 4.8 million." So he's like, even if you whale in R9 all the pilots, you're still like 2 million away from it. Like it's insane, the gap. So that would be nice, because it just feels weird like leaving Lightside Geo when, no one has the achievement yet. It's a shame.
But jumping into this here, these are going to be the planets that we will be battling on for the light side zones. It'll be Coruscant, Braca, Kashyyyk, Lothal, the Ring of Kafrene, and Scarif. For those of you who do not know, I just learned this because I was watching Rogue One the other day with my family. The Ring of Kafrene is where we're first introduced to Cassian, where he like kills that one dude who tells him about the Death Star. It's kind of I don't know, it's a kind of scummy looking area, but it's that early planet you see in Rogue One. The mixed alignment zones, it's going to be Corellia, Felucia, Tatooine, Kessel, Vandor, and Hoth. And for the dark side planets, Mustafar, Geonosis, Dathomir, a Haven class medical station, Malachor, and the Death Star. And they did tell us that we can expect the classic battles or like the big boss battles, like the Reek mission and the Acklay mission, and like in GOTB, like when you have the Nexu. So they did post the platoon bonuses. I could barely read it, and since I don't know what anything's looked like, you guys are free to read it on the forums. I'm gonna pass on this one here. But the first, the new territory battle character, which is going to be the cam of this territory battle, is the third sister, or Reva from the Kenobi series. And basically, from what they've told us here, her power level is aimed to be similar to that of the Grand Inquisitor, challenging galactic legends in the Grand Arena game mode through her Omicron abilities, which means we are going to get multiple Omicrons. And she is going to be a tank. And they did say that with her lead Zeta ability, you will be able to have enemies start with 5 stacks of Purge. And with the Grand Inquisitor, they are going to be at 6 stacks. So he's going to get some bonus turns. And one of the signature things here is that you're going to have to defeat her 3 times. The first time Reva is defeated, she revives with Hatred, which is Darth Sion's buff. So you'll have to kill her a second time, or you'll have to do like a Nihilus Mando anti-revive thing. I'm not sure if that will work the first time or not. We'll see how the kit verbiage works. But what are your thoughts here on Reva for the new territory battle hero?
I think it was coming. I think we all kind of. I think they announced it in the last one that she was going to be like they announced it in like the little video they put out. But with all the Inquisitor, hype that they've had, this is kind of like what it's built to is Reva. This is, I don't know. This is it's like the cam equivalent. It's why you build, Shakti clones or Bad Batch. This is. It's almost like they were hinting at it the whole time that this is what this was the build up. And if you have them ready, good for you. You can now do the event and start earning some shards. If you don't, well, gotta get farming. So
And for
I
those
like it.
who don't know, um, I think that even without Reva, the Inquisitors can beat JMK Cat in Territory Wars. However, I think especially with Reva and the fact that she can revive, this just all but guarantees that I think in every game mode, Inquisitors are now beating JMK Cat, and that's they're going to be the ultimate Jedi team or anti-Jedi team. So JMK Cat, JML are they in Grand Arena and in Territory Wars. You will be taking that team down, and I'm not going to lie, I think this really will affect like what teams we see on defense. Especially, like Datacrons are always going to affect that, but like I think JMK Cat just being this like team that you see on defense, I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think he might be switching back to offense. But we will see. I think it's probably going to be, usually the timetable for this is usually it's about a year. The whales will probably get him pretty soon, but I think it's going to be about a year before we see the territory battle come in and really be up and running. So we'll see what effect she has when she is in. But now we got Gear Changes 2.0. Rock, do you want to talk about basically what's happening with the gear changes?
Yeah. First they're doing like territory battle rewards for Hoth and Geonosis. So the top gear prize will be the same, but all of the lower ones will be, up. Like you'll get more rewards and stuff. And their reasoning is these changes are intended to help newer and lower power guilds get caught up but will still preserve clear incentives to push for higher star totals. These additions and the changes below. And oh, that's not very good. Not the best grammar, but whatever. We will publish these changes to the forums as we get closer to launching the territory battle. And then gear update. Essentially, they're adjusting the relic limit to where it's going to cost more to like scrap stuff, but it's going to be a lot easier to bring a character from, you know, gear 1 to gear 12. So, I think it's gear 11. They're not really they're going to keep the gear 12 bottleneck, but there should be no reason to like keep a tune lower than gear 11 because it's going to be really easy to bring up stuff, which is nice. I like it. Let me see. Uh, yeah, so all gear below gear 12, and it said this includes
Stun cuffs, um, or yeah, stun guns, stun cuffs, the golden eyeballs, all of those types of gear are going to be basically, it's basically just like how they did the accelerated shards. So like
yeah.
if you get it, you get 2. Raid rewards are going to get bumped up. Assault battles, territory battles, they're going to get increased. And then it looks like
Territory Wars, we're gonna get a bump only on the targeted items. So like Kairos, and if you get Gear 12 stuff will stay the same. Galactic Challenges, into the Conquest Query, um, the old Journey God events that award gear, like Jedi Knight Luke, Jedi Knight Revan, quests, achievements, yada yada yada. Even the Grand Arena championships, their gear prizes at the end are gonna be, increased. But
and I saw some Reddit posts. In my eyes, I view this, it was just like the shard when they made the shard shop changes, and like everyone was freaking out about that, but it was just the same, just because you're getting more of it, so they're going to be worth less.
it's essentially gonna null it.
Yeah, it's gonna
Everything's
know it.
just gonna go back to the same.
So everyone's like scrambling to like change all their gear, and I get like right now it's gonna suck, but like after you farmed a couple days, I feel like it's just gonna be the same. So it might make sense right now to go and um convert all your stuff, because currently like all your hoarded gear is gonna be worth more. But I feel like
You have most of those characters already unlocked. I mean, I wouldn't do it for the characters, but the gear itself is worth way more than $50, I would say, if you wanted to price it up.
I mean you get
Let's go to you get 100 of each Cairo, 100 cuffs, 100 stun guns, 100 Carbantes, and then a bunch of random stuff. Oh, you get 500 of the Mark 8 biotech implants that like when the golden eyeballs, like you have the one that's 50 and then you have the one that's 60. Well, they're giving you 100 that you have to convert into 50, but then they're giving you 500 of the 60. And
that's not bad, yeah.
that's not bad. And then you get a bunch of just like you get like 300 of a bunch of gray and green gear, 300 of a bunch of blue gear. You get a lot of just gear that you can scrap. Like I'm just like eyeballing it. Looks like a bunch of
Character, a new player, it's worth
yeah.
it. But for like, I would even say like even an early game player, that's still not a bad
Like,
deal.
if you're sub 2 mil, it's quite possibly the best. Sub 3 mil. If you're below 3 mil, it's probably the best deal in the game. I think it's the best deal in the game overall because I mean, even if I mean, yeah, you're not going to get much advantage out of all the characters that you get because for like if once you hit 6 mil, like you pretty much have all of it. Also, you get all the bounty hunter ships to 5 star minus Houndstooth, so you can get a nice little jump. Like if you're farming for Executor, I would just if you don't have those ships. I don't know. I'm a bit biased. I think it's a good deal for $50 just for the gear. Like you get a pretty good value for the gear. But that's my take. I'm ready to move on to something else.
Last but not least here, we did get a little sneak peek at Dr. Afra, and we finally have her final requirement for her event. So it'll be Sana Staros is going to be the final marquee character. And it'll be much like the Star Killer events. You're going to need to have all 4 of these characters, Hondo, BT1, 000, and Sana Staros at Relic 5. And again, once the Afra event is live, it will be